Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another podcast. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that bell notification button. Also see us on patreon.com/Chris Voss to support the show and get into our private Facebook groups. Thanks to AT&T, of course, for always supporting us with phones to share with you, like the Samsung Galaxy S8 that we'll be broadcasting this on Periscope with today. I'm joined by a wonderful gentleman who is the CEO and founder of OWC, or what we know as Other World Computing. You may also know as MacSales.com. He's the CEO and founder, and thanks for joining us, Larry. I appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate that being here, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we've reviewed your products over the years on the Chris Voss Show, and you guys make some not only really incredibly wonderful technology products, but they're really beautiful too. They look like something that Apple would make when it comes down to it. And I hope that's a compliment.
No, absolutely. Certainly, we have a bigger focus, I think, on function first, but the form of the product is obviously very important, not just for how it looks, but how it feels, and its durability and ruggedness as well. So
yeah,
the whole picture. Yeah,
we just got done reviewing a short while ago, I think, the new Thunderbird 3, which is pretty amazing. It's got like 50 gazillion parts and plugs and everything else that you can do with it.
Yeah, the Thunderbolt 3 dock is definitely off to the races, to say the least. That was, it took us a little longer to get it out there. Some of that had to do with things, that I really can't discuss that were quite beyond our control. But at the end of the day, it's an exceptional product. It's a solution that people really needed, and by and large, we're glad. Even despite the wait, we're glad that they waited for. It's really a pleasure to bring solutions like that to the market.
Yeah, and they always look great. The products you guys have, they always fit right into whatever Apple product you have, and of course you make great products for the PC as well. But they just look like something that Apple would make that works with your Apple Mini. It looks good. A lot of products will have that. They just have that metal sort of look. I don't know what the proper name of the metal is, but it just always looks like a complement or an Apple product that goes with your Apple product. You guys fit that in very nicely.
Yeah, call it quality through and through. If it looks cheap, it probably is cheap. While our stuff is, again, we try not we really try hard to bring things in at competitive at the right price points, but whatever price point, we bring something, it's got to be built right. You can't cut corners on the quality side.
Yeah, I get products from your guys' high quality sort of area to some of the Chinese junk that's just pushed out there, and it's just carbon copies of stuff. And your guys' stuff is just always, I can always pretty much bet that it's always going to be good stuff. In fact, I've got your dual drive running right now for the show, the plugins you jam into it.
The drive dock, yeah, sure.
Yeah, those things are awesome, and their tank, I think it's fallen off my table like 2 or 3 times. I've actually broken a couple drives. I think the dogs pulled it off the table once. It's taken a beating, and it's taken a few different moves, and it still just looks great and functions great. So tell the audience who doesn't know about Other World Computing, who you guys are, what you guys do, and everything else.
Yeah, sure. For about 30 years, we've been out there to effectively help people get more from their technology. I personally was frustrated with what was required to upgrade an Apple computer back in the 80s. The high cost, the service time, the fact you had to haul your computer in someplace. And this all got started really with the basic being to educate people that, number one, you could do this stuff, a lot of these things at home. Number two, for a lot less than buying a new system, you could get amazing benefits with very simple upgrades to your existing system. And the last thing would be going back to the service aspect. Some of these things that you'd have to leave your computer away for a couple of days, never mind the drive and the time and the headache and the hassle and the cost. These are things you could do in 5 or 10 minutes at home. They were rocket science until the curtain got pulled back and the information was shared. And it was whether we originally did instruction sheets, later did videos, but it was how can we help people get more from their technology and maximize what they have. And the storage side, where we really made a push, we went from memory into actually started doing storage. I won't say it's kind of a complementary category. and got into processor upgrades, but got really hardcore into storage about it's close to 2 decades ago, because once again we ran into a situation where the companies that we had access, we were, in addition to our own products, we also resold products, and what we saw was just a lot of inconsistency. Even in what at the time were some of the bigger brand names, it was kind of flavor of the week in terms of what drive was inside, what chipset, for FireWire or USB was being used, and for video guys, for audio guys, and even hobbyists and people at home that wanted a consistent experience. We weren't seeing that with what was available off the shelf, and decided that we could do things a little bit better, and made a real commitment to having high quality, reliable, performance storage solutions. And that's where we got into storage. But it's always focused on giving people, not the cheapest, not building the cheapest damn thing in the world, but building something that's going to last. And some of that's lost today, in the simple sense that the people, I think, are more and more people seem to be used to things failing, and we want to build things that don't just last a couple of years, but storage that lasts 5 years, or longer, depending. Certainly, we don't want it to be our say part of the system that causes the failure. Yeah,
you guys cover all sorts of upgrades for Apple products, SSD, memory cards, storage. You've got RAID drives for external storages, and then lots of course PC products as well. I guess you guys have used Macs too that you sell.
Yeah, used Macs is another big area. I mean, there's these systems. There are a lot of them never got upgraded in the field, so we can take them in, refurbish them, and then offer them with some extra fixings that keep them very competitive and practical today. So,
nice. Laptop batteries, power adapters. Man, you guys have a lot of stuff. Headphones, accessories. Wow, you guys cover it all. And yeah, if you want to upgrade your Macs, which technically, I mean, they come as you buy them, and this of course is a great way to upgrade them, or to, if you want to take and go to the next level with the hard drives, you can do that as well. But yeah, well, I've always been really impressed with a lot of your stuff that I have, and I don't use Apple products. I pretty much am a PC sort of guy, and so most of the PC different products that you guys have come out have been great to work with and everything else. Do you guys do memory upgrades for PCs, or is it pretty much just for Apples?
Our marketing is driven to the Apple side because, quite frankly, that's our backyard. We know it, backwards and forwards. But we do support just actually all the memory modules we offer for Apple. We offer for PC as well. We just don't do as good a job promoting it there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting, yes. And we have an enterprise division that specifically upgrades server class systems. We're a data center memory and whatnot. So we're in that space. We have that capability. We just don't do on the direct side, the consumer and small business side. We're not as effective. This is why we like talking to folks, because the more people find out about us, the more folks we can help.
Well, you guys have a lot of fans, I know, because I see you guys at the booth at CES, and I think I've seen you at other shows. They all tend to blur by after a while, but I remember going to the CES booth this year and touring around and seeing all the different gadgets and stuff. Everything's always well built. It's kind of heavier, it has that good, feel when you hold it. It's like, this is a real product. This is, this is the cheap stuff that you get where you're just like, is there anything in here? And I guess you guys provide good warranties on stuff.
We've always stood behind our products. I mean, we put a real warranty on our products, and we stand behind that warranty. And in terms of, again, the product is built to last. The warranty is great, but I mean, the real end goal is to not have to use the warranty. And just looking at our external storage is one area. The power supplies that we put in those solutions, can be up to literally double the amperes that our competition puts out there. I mean, some guys have little tiny wall boards to come out with these things, and we have real full size professional power. I say bricks, but I mean they're power supplies that have the amperes not just to support a peak load under a surge. I mean, when you turn a drive on or it's under load, it'll use more power than it is when it's sitting idle or doing light work. And depending on when you look at a power supply, it'll say what its sustained output is and what its peak output is. That's kind of like an amplifier. If you have an amplifier that can peak up, yeah, it can peak up. But if it, you hear an awful lot of noise and static, when it's doing it, and if you keep it, it has to continue to peak up, you end up frying speakers. So there's the feedback. It does damage, and by having a power supply that's really right for the most heavy continuous load, you have a drive that's never being stressed. You have clean power. You also have a power supply and a system that runs cooler and will last longer. So these are the things we think about. We don't how to say nickel dime how to say on these systems to increase the margin to push to a minimum design spec. We really try to. I say we over-engineer, but not to an excessive degree where it doesn't serve a purpose. I mean, we really want to deliver a product that is reliable under the conditions it could be used in, without depending on how do I say these peaks and these other things that ultimately reduce the lifespan of a solution. And if you want to talk about PC, sorry to keep on going. I get on a roll and I have a hard time.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
But Thunderbolt 3 is, a hugely exciting space that we have a big investment, a big presence in. Actually, about to have a much bigger presence in with our new Envoy Pro X, which is a bus-powered solid-state drive that hits over 2,000 megabytes a second in performance. Plugs and plays on a Mac or a PC. Actually, pretty much all the mid-level PCs and up for about the last year and a half now have come with Thunderbolt 3. So, we've got a solution there. The Viper is actually a 4-blade solution. Not bus power, but goes up to 8 terabytes and hits 2,700 megabytes a second. Sustained, not just burst, absolute sustained performance. So these are, tip of the iceberg. And then all the way down to little accessories like our travel dock. It's 5 ports, gives you video, it gives you USBs, gives you pass-through for the USB-C, so you don't have to take up a second port on your laptop to power it in addition to adding the ports. And this is a $50 solution for anybody who's on the road that really fills a gap. We listen to our customers. We don't try to drive our customers. We listen to our customers, and we drive solutions into the future, understanding what their needs are today, understanding how needs are changing tomorrow. So we do our job right. We're introducing products that are ahead of the curve because from our customer feedback, from our customer experience, we're bringing out the solutions that are going to fill those gaps, fill those needs, that are in the present and around the corner.
You guys have been doing this for about 28 years?
Yeah, in 1988 is when I say this thing all fired up. We're about to go into our 30th year in just a couple of weeks here.
Wow, you guys must be doing something right then.
We like to think so. We certainly have passion for what we do and enjoy what we do. And I think that's a big part of the equation.
Yeah, and as a reviewer, I can really tell with the products that consistently we've seen from you guys over the years. I get everything from like I said, the whole spectrum of quality of products, and you can always tell a difference with some of the products that are out there. And I think consumers can too. Just sometimes by holding a product or seeing how if a product is built solid, has a beautiful look to it, has a heavy feel, it just has that beautiful textile look. And then you have something that's really cheap, junky, and looks either junky or feels very junky and light. Now you guys do new and used Macintoshes, so I could buy a new Macintosh from you guys, custom made.
Yeah, we have our OWC digital, which does we have actually engineering is literally beneath my feet in Austin, and then we have our direct MacSales.com, being a direct sales division, sells OWC products, and yes, we sell new and used Macs. Mainly used Macs. The new Macs are more opportunity buys, but used Macs we have a wide variety, and that's a constantly churning variety that not just obviously a great savings versus new, but you can get those units upgraded, with different configurations, and it's the cool thing with the Mac. And I'm not going to knock PC, but we still sell Macs that were 2008, 2009, 2010 models, and 2009, 2010s can still run 10.13 today. And they run it well, with an SSD and everything else. These machines, if one thing Apple does, there's lots of things Apple does right. And one of those things that Apple does right is they build these systems to last. I don't know that when you take a look at the costs on used, Macs hold their value amazingly well, and it's because they hold their functionality and their ability to adapt and move into the future, I'd say, exceptionally well. I don't tough to buy a PC from a decade ago for the kind of retention that a Mac gives. So I hope Apple, with their future systems, is cognizant of the fact that if you can't service them, if they glue everything together and solder everything, it's going to be a lot harder for somebody to spend $2,500 on a new Mac if it reaches the end of it 2 years and they go to sell it used. There's not really a used market for it because if there's something wrong with it, it becomes a recyclable. Now we're going to do everything we can to prevent that, but one of Apple's strengths has been its serviceability, that they're built right, so you got a good foundation to work from, but you can get in there and you can service them, upgrade them. As you take away those, features, those support aspects, I think it becomes a little more challenging to convince somebody to spend $2,500 for a Mac versus $1,000 or so for a PC.
I know they definitely hold their value on resale. I mean, the Macs that I've owned over the years, they hold their value. Even the iPhones hold their value really well on resale, and that's a real important thing. I know a lot of people that use your products do a lot of do-it-yourself upgrades, where they'll like upgrade the memory, upgrade the hard drives, or I guess it's SSDs nowadays. What do you guys? What's your like top selling product to consumers?
Yeah, it's pretty broad. I mean, it really breaks into 3 categories. I say the external drives is our top selling category. And in particular, our Thunderbolt 2 products today, and Thunderbolt 3 will very quickly overtake that, I believe, by end of the year. Our number 1 top selling product, individual product today. You can look at memory as another big category for us. Our different upgrades, accessories, SSDs in general. But our Thunderbolt 3 dock and our docks right now are outselling everything, just as a pure volume and a singular item. Comparison. But we sell such a broad, I mean, it's really category versus individual product we sell.
Yeah.
We offer a lot of solutions.
It's a beautiful product, the Thunderbolt 3 dock. It's got, I can't remember, it's like 12 or 18 ports or something. It's
13
like
ports.
13 points. And it's got plugs for just everything you can. It makes a great dock for, like, if you have a laptop and you just want to plug into to whatever bigger system when you're at home or at your office, you can take and do that. It's just a beautiful product, very heavy, good looking. It's got that beautiful outside with the kind of glassy looking top and bottom that was black. Really a great product. I mean, I was just blown away. I think we reviewed the Thunderbolt 2 dock before that. And then, of course, we reviewed a number of your the plug and play drive docks where we pull the drives out, put them in. That thing is just a tank when it comes down to it. And so, yeah, I almost kind of, whenever I look at your guys' website, I almost kind of think like, maybe I ought to go back to owning a Mac, because there's a lot of cool stuff I can do with it.
Right on.
Upgrading with your site, putting this, that, and the other. I remember I had a Mac Mini years ago, and I was like, oh man, I need to change all this stuff out and make something better out of this deal.
Well, with the iMacs and even the Mac Mini, there are an amazing number of opportunities, to say the least. And it's going to be interesting as we go forward. I mean, everything's going to be external, or I should say more and more will be external, and interfaces like Thunderbolt certainly with that kind of plug and play bandwidth make that possible. It doesn't replace a super fast PCIe internal slot, which never-ending disappointment that Apple currently has no systems with that kind of direct capability. But nonetheless, it is amazing. 10 years ago, you couldn't imagine having something doing over 2. First off, you didn't have drives or anything that could do 2 gigabytes a second internally, without a heck of a lot of expense, or maybe a memory array. But with a plug-in something that can do over 2 gigabytes a second throughput, I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, if you're doing video editing, photograph editing, photograph storage, that's really important.
It is. And heck, just even having fast backup. It's whatever. There's a zillion different applications, and just being able to do it, period. Or hey, you don't need the speed, but you can plug in 48 terabytes of storage with a single cable and a single 4-drive compact device. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, you guys do RAID, external storage, high performance systems, up to 40 TB, FireWire, Thunderbolt, USB 3. Wow. And just everything from time machine backups to Hollywood film production. I know a lot of my friends that probably use you guys, they do a lot of video editing and stuff, and it's just really heavy on the computers and being able to transfer those things. Even for me as a photographer, where I'm, backing up a lot of raw files and photographs and stuff, it's just a nightmare, especially every time I want to back those up. Usually I'll use your guys' drive switchers to switch out the drives, do backups, do extra backups. You never can have enough backups. And so it's really great just to plug, play, boom, boom, swipe them out, and keep on rolling. So what do you guys see for the future for Macintosh, or for for where things are going with what you guys are doing? Is there anything new, exciting in the future that you guys see trending?
Sure. External GPU. I mean, one thing for sure going to be external GPUs. So much of the performance opportunity as we go forward is in the GPU more so than the processor. And I think we're going to see people have simpler base systems, but go home and connect to things like our dock, connect to an eGPU chassis that take it from being a word processor, not more than word processor, but an email and browsing machine to a high power photography and video editing system with just a couple devices plugged in. So you have the benefit of super portability, and then you have where you are, what you need, where you need it, capability you can add on, plug in to give people a very different level of, of capability and flexibility. And I kind of like that because, again, Apple's kind of done some things differently, but it's kind of back to you can buy what you need for where you need, as opposed to being forced to buy that all-encompassing solution at whatever premium so that it can be with you as well. I mean, do I buy a desktop or a laptop? Well, it's not too long, I don't think, where either will be just fine. You buy what you need because where your desk is, you can have the capability you need regardless of what you may need differently on the road.
Well, as Apple just kind of carves away all the different plugs you can have. I remember
we got a solution for that too. We have a solution for that, but nonetheless,
even my PC laptop, which is really thin, only has 2 USB ports. So docks like yours is great for them because nowadays you need all sorts of plugins for this, that, and the other, the camera and the webcam and everything you're doing. So yeah, having some of the resources you guys have is pretty amazing, and being on the upgrade as they want. Now people can send in their products to you guys, right? And have you guys do the work, or they can do it themselves, either way?
Yeah, we do have upgrade programs internally where folks can select their upgrades and send their Macs or even PCs in, although primarily Macintosh. We really try to encourage people to either do the upgrades themselves or even take it to a local service provider. It's just a lot less hassle and headache, in my opinion, our opinion, versus shipping things in. But we do a lot of upgrades on site, I should say, in our facility, I should say on site, at our actual facility that are sent in, and we're happy to do it. But our primary mission is education and enablement. I mean, we want people to be able to do these things. We want to show people how easy it is. I mean, take those barriers away. And as an overall platform, whether it be our external stores or docks, technology isn't there to frustrate and create new work and headaches. It's there to enable and expand and give you more time to be creative, as opposed to fumble around or try to make things should be a hassle or a headache. We want to give you things that just work so that you can work smarter, better, faster on the things that really matter to you.
Yeah, and it's definitely complicated, especially with Apple's, where they've got the RAID storage of their own thing, and you've got to make sure that everything works together and can seamlessly operate with their systems. Otherwise, you end up with like I can't take a lot of PC stuff and go, let's just put this over here.
Yeah, well, solutions like software that we ship on the Mac side, and we got some stuff working for the PC side as well. It's plug and play. You can move it to any Mac you want. You plug it in, and it's there. You don't have to think about. You don't have to even know what RAID means. Just know that you've got the storage is showing up. It's there. It's working. You've redone it. You can do it again. You need to do, and I think that's important. If you have to fumble around with configurations and trying to mess with settings, or even worse, and devices that have dip switches and other little turn dial thingies on them, the game is potentially lost.
Yeah, I mean, I've with RAID backups and everything else, I've had so many different issues with some of the different vendors that are out there in the place. I don't think we reviewed your guys' RAID products, but it can be good or it can be bad. And when it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah, well, we were the first company to ship a RAID mirror solution that you could pull the drives out of our solution and connect them via set. There's nothing proprietary. So if you had a drive failure, the unit stayed up and you could access it. Or if something else, a power supply failure, whatever might happen, you could even take the drives physically out of the RAID solution, out of the mirror, plug it in directly, and have full access to your data. I mean, we've been a huge thing. Look at all of our storage. It's about having accessibility to your data, not locking it into a platform to where the next whiz bang comes out. The only way you can keep everything working is to buy our next product. We want you loyal to our product because it's what works for you, not because we've got you in the door and then we slammed it behind you and you're trying to artificially lock you in. So
is FireWire still going to be a popular thing with in competing with Thunderbolt, or is Thunderbolt going to make FireWire go away?
And rest in peace, long live FireWire. It's one of those things that there's solution. The reason we still support FireWire, there's especially on actually both on the audio and the video side, now more so on the professional audio side, you've got devices that are exceptionally high end that interface through FireWire. You're talking devices that cost several $1,000s to replace. And same with there's FireWire cameras and such as well, but there are things that interface via FireWire that it's very expensive to buy. You have to replace. There's no FireWire to USB or SATA adapter. FireWire only works with FireWire. And then the other side of the equation, there's still a lot of FireWire storage out there in people's hands, and having an easy way to access that data is the reason we've kept FireWire up. But quite honestly, FireWire is something that is going to start to fade away in 2018. We're going to keep it on a couple devices, but it's no longer something that's really current. It's a lot slower than Thunderbolt. It's slower than USB 3. But it's there's just such an embedded base of FireWire solutions. It was important. It's certainly important to get people transition, and especially if I'm an audio guy and I want to get that new Mac. I need a new Mac for whatever reason, but it doesn't have FireWire, and I don't want to replace that $4,000 digital analog to digital capture tool that still doesn't have a rival today. I need that FireWire interface. So we're glad to be able to support those folks.
It's pretty cool. You guys have tips on how to speed up your Mac, memory trade-in, memory performance tests, all different things people can do. You have installation videos to help people walk through doing their own do-it-yourself installation and all that good stuff. What about your warranties, I guess, on some of your products? Tell us about some of those.
Sure, and we do. First off, anything that comes into us, we typically have a 48-hour turnaround, and really it ends up being a same-day turnaround. So stuff is turned in very quickly, very efficiently. And we test everything. We don't just pile it up, and we actually go through solutions. We don't like to see any failures, and we definitely, when we do have something come back, we like to understand why, whether it was something actually did fail, internally, or a lot of, quite frankly, the majority of returns, come out for their issues unrelated to the hardware. Something happened on the customer's end, whether it be a software issue, a configuration mistake, and we take the returns, we use that information to document and improve our customer experience and ideally prevent unnecessary returns. But memory, for example, is a cross ship. We tried SSDs are a cross ship. If you have to open your system up, we certainly are happy to get you what you need to replace in there, so you can do it all in one swap as opposed to have to do multiple servicings of your own hardware. And we try to be as customer friendly and have staying supportive as possible. But the warranties on our external drives go from 3 years. Nothing is shorter than 3 years, and they go up to 5 years on solutions. And enclosures and things that we don't have as much control over. It's still at least a 1-year warranty. And the one thing I'll say about enclosures, one of the reasons, why don't they put a 3-year warranty on their enclosures? You said you put a 3-year warranty or a 5-year warranty on the whole external solution, and what it really comes down to is when we build a solution, we have full control over how it's handled, how it's worked on, the static environment, you name it. We also have control over, we're putting a drive in there, and that's the drive that's going to be in there. A lot of the stuff that comes back, and not everybody, we have, sometimes external solutions get bought as, we have a drive dock that's designed to have all those units, and we have a 2-year warranty on that drive dock, and it's designed to have drives coming in and out of it all the time. Not designed to fall off tables, although it obviously can handle that a few times. That's not part of necessarily the science spec, but solutions. Some folks will actually use an external drive as a drive dock, and the connectors in an external hard drive enclosure, really aren't designed to have 1,000 insertion removals, over their lifetime. They're really designed to put the drive in, maybe a few drives over the course of a lifespan, but as you insert and remove, you wear parts out. But in any event, we really, in general, have warranty. I look in stores and where we have a 1-year warranty, we typically see competition with a 90-day warranty. Where we have a 3-year warranty or a 5-year warranty, we typically see 1, 2, or 3-year warranties. But we've always done that. We didn't. We put these things out there to be fair, balanced, and the ultimate goal for everybody, because nobody wants to mess with a warranty. And if you do need to use our warranty, we also definitely work to make it exceptionally easy. And there's real people that really care, that are engaged in that process, and the turnaround's quick. It's not just something that comes into a big system and some other refurb unit gets fired out to you. It's a quick process, a relatively quick process, and it's one where real people actually pay attention and are actually making sure that we get some information out of the exchange.
Awesome. You guys have do-it-yourself Mac upgrade kits, hard drive kits, Blu-ray, DVD, CDs, which of course don't come in the laptops anymore.
Right. Let's talk about the iMac kits. The iMac hard drive kits. This is a huge one for us. I mean, this is one that we've got literally hundreds of thousands of those kits now out there. Since 2009, Apple has shipped with a proprietary solution to get thermal data from the hard drive into their SMC system. So if you buy a drive that's different than, actually, to buy a drive that's not an Apple drive, if you don't use Apple to replace a drive that's failed in an iMac, back to 2009 or later, and the iMacs are still running great today. Hard drives fail, man. That's just a fact of life. Drives will fail at some point, and that's no reason to throw an entirely good computer away. But if you don't use Apple for the replacement, and Apple doesn't even support these older systems anymore, if you just take a drive off the shelf, the first thing you find out when you put the drive in there is that all of a sudden, the fans start revving. If you run diagnostics, diagnostics won't even run on the system because within 2 seconds it says there's a thermal sensor failure because it's not getting the thermal data that it wants. So these hard drive, we actually have it's an 8088 processor for what it's worth. It's it's the brain of this device. But we have a digital thermal solution. It goes in line with the SATA cable because Apple's integrated this now. And it collects the thermal information and it actually provides it to SMC in the format that SMC wants. Apple used they actually got with the hard drive manufacturers because Seagate and Hitachi, they really want all the backstory. The long and the short of it is the different major drive manufacturers couldn't settle on having the same pinout size for the thermal sensor because all these drives have a thermal out, but they had different sizes. So that meant for an Apple service solution, number one, at the factory meant they had to have 3 different cable harnesses, each with a different, for the different brand drives. And then if I was doing Apple service, if I didn't have that brand drive in stock, if a customer came in and needed a replacement, I'd either have to order it in, I'd either have to stock more to make sure I always had that brand, or I'd have to take the logic board out to replace the entire cable harness and add about an extra hour to that service.
Wow.
So I understand why Apple did it, but the consequence is if you take a drive off the shelf and put it into a Mac, it will fail diagnostics no matter what without our solution, and it will rev the fans unless you either use our solution or there's software you can buy that will manually control the fans, but then you still don't have diagnostic and you have something you now have to maintain and mess with every time a new OS update comes out. We figured our solution is a little more elegant. It's one and done. You plug it in. It works with any drive. So if you buy a new drive later, another 3 years, 4 years goes by and it's time for a new drive, you don't have to buy a new thermal sensor. It's plug and plays in line, and it's a solution for 2009 all the way up to the current machine shipping today. So that also means if you want a bigger drive for your iMac, you've got a 2017 and you can only get a 3 terabyte in, and you want to put a 12 terabyte in there, you can buy our solution, buy that 12 and upgrade your machine as well.
It's amazing how big the terabytes are now on these hard drives. I remember years ago, so more than years ago, but buying I was so proud. I got one of the first 300 megabyte, and yes, I said megabyte, hard drives, and I thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
That's like 93, 94.
It was a brick. It was a total brick. You could kill somebody hitting him with it. But
right.
I was just so happy. I remember when I graduated up to a 1440 baud modem,
14,400, right?
Yeah.
No, was it 14, 300, 1200? Yeah, 14,400. The US Robotics HSDs.
28.8K, I don't know, something like that after that. And you'd dial up people and hear that wonderful modem squeal and cross your fingers and hope that it would connect to AOL. Oh, those are the days. So yeah, when I hear some of the craziness of these drive sizes, I just never get over it from that. So it's cool people can do all that stuff. I didn't even know Apple had that extensive of a thing. Did they do that to make it hard so that you go to them for upgrades? Is that why they do that, or is it actually some sort of function that helps them, I guess, with the fans to keep the computer from overheating?
Well, they've always had SMC, which is independent of the OS. So most PCs use Smart, they do monitoring, they use, the OS Windows is interfacing with how to say an application that runs the monitors and runs the fans. On the Mac, even if something goes seriously wrong and the OS craps out, the computer has a crash, something goes wrong and the system locks up. Maybe the hard drive, if you have a bad hard drive, it'll crash the system. And the computer stays running, but the system's crashed. In that case, you could have a processor. You could have the processor amped up during. I mean, long and short of it is, SMC is independent from the OS. So no matter what's happening with the OS, SMC sits there and makes sure that the fans are running at an appropriate speed to keep your computer at the right temperature. SMC doesn't stop working just because the computer itself had a problem. It's an independent system. And as far as why Apple went to this firmware solution, this proprietary solution, it goes back to from a manufacturing efficiency point of view. Now they just have to have the one cable harness. It doesn't matter what drive they've got on the line that day. It doesn't matter what drive a customer has coming in for service, because they don't need to use a different cable harness. Now it's all in the firmware. They actually, starting in 2011, they specifically reappropriated the read-write indicator for that thermal pulse. So instead of pulsing read-write, which you can't see anyway when the drive's inside your computer, it actually does a pulse that SMC interprets for to what the temperature of the bay is that control the fans. But only Apple drives have that firmware. And the other thing that's kind of sucky, even if you want to, let's say it's 3 years, 4 years, Apple still supports your computer. You can go in, I think it's $200. They'll replace the hard drive, a failed hard drive. They will only replace the size that you originally bought. So if you bought an iMac with a 500 gig drive, or even a 1 terabyte drive, say, well, I'll pay the difference to get a 3 terabyte. I know you had 3 terabyte, I didn't buy it at the time, but I'd like 3 terabytes today. They say, well, I'm really very sorry. We can only upgrade you. We can only replace with what you had. So, in addition to the insult of having to deal with, which is not Apple's fault, but a drive reached end of life and failed. When you go in to replace it, if you use Apple service, they're only going to replace it with the same size you bought. So here for $200, you can buy our kit plus today about a 5 or 6 terabyte drive to go in there, or for a lot less, buy still a bigger drive, certainly than a 501 terabyte, get a 2 or 3 and save a few bucks.
Yeah, it seems like everything as it gets smaller, everything gets smaller, but I need more memories. So this is the one thing I always need more of, more memory. It's just like the files keep getting bigger, the more videos, the more photos. It's just you need more space. So you guys are a great thing to come to when people want to upgrade their stuff. If I have a Mac and I've had one for a few years, when's a good time to look at maybe replacing it, either with an upgrade or a replaceable drive? Like, how long do they usually last on average, do you see?
How long does the Mac last, or how long does the drive last?
The drives and the Macs last.
When you're talking about a hard drive, and iMacs, the majority of iMacs, they ship with hard drives. I mean, that's really subjective and independent to the drive and some of the use in the environment. But I'm sure you see it. I mean, it's I would start to be thinking about replacing the drive, certainly after 3 years.
Okay.
But, I mean, anything once you're past 3 years, I mean, the probabilities of a failure, start to substantiate. It may last 10 years, but in terms of straight probabilities, number one, you should always have, as you well know, you should always have a backup.
Always have a backup. Yeah, there's still a drive I have to recover that has been a nightmare. And I think the little head dealy thingy went bad on it, and it may have done some damage to the disk. But yeah, learn the hard way. And fortunately, there was kind of a backup of it, but there's some photos of my old dog that are on it that I really want back. And so yeah, once you lose a hard drive with some precious stuff on it, you kind of learn your lesson. I had a friend who was a photographer, and he had his Mac fall over one day, and I think he had his external sitting on top of it or something, but it totally just messed up the hard drive. $1,600 it cost him to recover that thing with his photos and business in there. And so, yeah, getting some of your guys' products with the external storage, drive enclosures, different ways to back up stuff. I recommend it because it's just a nightmare when you lose those files, especially if they're business files.
Yeah, funny story. About 21, 22 years ago, had the business drive, OWC's business drive, seized up. Didn't have a backup, didn't have anything, and how'd I say, it was it would have been a very devastating. It would have been recoverable, but it would have been exceptionally painful. And this was back in the day when you could put them in the freezer, give them a couple taps, and most of the time they came back up, and it did come back up. But a very good lesson was learned at a pretty early point in technology dependence. Backups are so cheap compared to, and we look at what data storage costs, and the software does it for you. Your Mac Time Machine, which again, I think there should be other strategies than this Time Machine, but Time Machine, you press a button, yes, use that line for Time Machine, and you're done, and it does it all for you. As opposed to $1,600, or that's actually pretty. That sounds on the low side. I can run a lot more than that. Storage is unbelievably cheap, and you actually have to do a data recovery. It's like, that backup would have been really, 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 really cheap, and just you sleep well at night. Knowing that backup.
Yeah, I when I get done doing my little backup routine, I just feel really good for a while. I'm like, okay, all right, everything's kind of safe for now. Right
on, absolutely.
And so you guys are a great way to do that. You guys build wonderful products. They're very beautiful products. They're great on the eye. They fit right in with the sheen sort of look of the Apple hardware. So it's very complimentary. In fact, people might even look at it and go, wow, that looks like it all goes together. And so I think that's another beautiful part about your guys' products and services. Anything else you want to tell us about Otherworld Computing that we need to know, or someone who has experienced your guys' product line before?
I don't even know where to start. We have, again, our customers are how to say, one of the most important aspects. They make us who we are. Our team certainly makes OWC what it is. We can't do what we do without the great team that makes up OWC. And at the end of the day, we're here to be a solution, not to make life more difficult, but to have the things that make a difference for you. And it is a pleasure. We enjoy what we do. We're U.S. based. The majority of our team, we got team members. The majority of our team's in Woodstock, Illinois, and then we have a big chunk in Austin, Texas, and another unit, so to speak, in actually both in Nevada and out in one of our software teams is in Mill Valley, California. But we have people all over the country, but again in the U.S. that are here to make a difference and make it so that at the end of the day, the perfect world, the technology is transparent and it's doing what it needs to do so that you can do more of what you want to do. And that's why we're here.
Yeah, I'm looking at your customer support page. This is one of the most welcoming customer support pages I've seen in a long time. You guys got the number right there. You guys got your hours. You guys have got all sorts of resources. I can't tell you how many websites I go to where you go to the customer support thing, and man, they got that number buried.
Don't you hate that? I don't like it.
It's like you guys got to install videos, order status tracking, warranty, fact knowledge base, drive formatting tips, how-to articles, videos, data recoveries, benchmarking, manuals, firmware. You guys got a ton of stuff here. Easy. You just press a button. You can request a return. This is you should win an award for having the best customer service page. Fair enough. I go to customer service support pages, man, and it is so hard to find just a phone number sometimes. Like they do not want you to call them. So it's great you guys have that. So anyway, be sure to check out macsales.com, Otherworld Computing. And of course, you can follow them all across social media. You're on Twitter yourself. I don't know if you want people to follow you or friend you on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so go check it out, guys, especially if you're an Apple hardware fanatic. You're going to find all sorts of great stuff to upgrade yourself. I use their products even though I don't use Apple and I'm a PC thing, and their products are just like tanks. So I can tell you, if you go see the reviews that we did on the Chris Voss Show, you can go to youtube.com or the Chris Voss Show and search for Otherworld Computing reviews that we've done. I think there's been about 5 or more than 5, 6, 7 what we've done, and of course we use the products here at the office. So that's, people always come to me and they go, they go, hey, Chris, we know that you reviewed all those products, but what do you keep and use every day? What is this category that you keep and use every day? So it's always a plug when we actually use your products, because we keep the best and we give the rest away.
We appreciate that. That's great.
I don't give the best products away. It's like there's certain products where it's like, no, you can't have that. No, we're keeping that one.
It's an ongoing review. I mean, it's a continuation of this field testing.
Definitely. Well, Larry, thanks for coming on the show with us. We'll definitely look forward to talking and seeing your review products in the future. We'll probably be getting from, I think, the PR gal, Karen, that new travel thing. I'll be looking forward to seeing that, because we're always going on the road and taking our stuff with us. So thanks for joining us today. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, guys. Be sure to hit the Patreon channel. Thanks to AT&T for the Samsung Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus support. Be sure to watch for the new Note 8. And of course, if you like it, the iPhone X, buy the Samsung, really. Larry's like, what show is this? This is an Apple show.
That's okay.
They're Apples. They make an okay phone.
Hey, big philosophy, you buy what works for you. At the end of the day, whatever is going to do the job the way you need it.
I will say the Apple hardware of computing, I would probably buy an Apple computer before I'll buy an Apple iPhone, but they're definitely well built and known for their quality. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Be sure to tune in next time, and we'll see you then.